Gotta go back. Is it on?
Yeah. You can tell you've not done this before.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be another one of those funk joints. Hot soul, dance.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Talk Nerdy to Me. I'm Jay.
I'm Gaz.
And we've just come back from seeing Ghostbusters, and we're going to talk about it with you. We're going to talk about it in great detail, so quite a few spoilers. If you've not watched it, go watch it, then come back and watch this, and that way we won't piss you off. Right off the bat, I'm going to point out we haven't talked about it yet. This will be the first time.
Yeah.
So, what did you think?
I quite liked it.
Yeah?
I'm surprised, actually. Like, obviously, there's been a lot of talk about it beforehand of, the trailers. The trailers didn't look very good and all this kind of stuff.
Mm.
But I kind of felt it was a very different movie.
Yeah.
To, like, the first, and it had to be. But that kind of worked for it.
Yeah.
Like, it
it's
wasn't
not
trying to be the other one, and that's what, it was really good. The only thing I would say is I thought that some of the humour was really good,
and
some of it just fell on its ass completely. What did you think?
I mean, I'm probably in the same boat here. I enjoyed watching that film, and there were moments that we were laughing, but there were moments where we weren't laughing, and I would say that I just didn't feel... Some scenes didn't look like they were being directed at all. I know it was ad-lib, but there was just like... You could tell, it was almost like they didn't know how to end a scene, and there's some moments where they went from one bit to the next scene and it didn't match, it didn't work.
Yeah.
I think some of the directing wasn't brilliant.
There were some scenes in it where I just thought, did you really need that?
Yeah, like they were arguing in the mayor's office. That went on for a while.
And one of the ones that really irked me was where, obviously, Kate McKinnon plays the more like Egon character, the more science kind of thing. And she comes up with all the, like, the armour and the weapons, or whatever the hell we call it.
Yeah.
And that scene where they're in the alleyway, I just thought was so unnecessary. Where they're trying out, there's the glove and all this kind of stuff. I was like, why?
They could have done a montage.
Yeah, like.
Did they have a montage?
No.
Did the film have a montage?
I don't think so. No.
That's
not like a proper montage. I mean,
yeah, but that's the thing. You would think that's perfect montage territory. That's why you have them.
It just felt so unnecessary, and it was all a bit like played up, and it felt like filler a lot. Like when it was scenes like that. I don't know. That kind of stuff I really didn't like.
What about? Well, I'll tell you what I didn't like. Rowan.
Rowan, the main bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't seem to fit, did it?
It just like why I didn't understand. It was too much too fast with him. Like he's just. At first I thought he was possessed or something, and then it turns out no, he's just a dick. But he was just... I didn't understand him. I don't get why. And they try and say, oh, it's because he's so intelligent and he got bullied all this. Like, well, he is weird, though.
Do you know the only time I liked Rowan was the bad guy?
Was when
he was Helmsworth. And how good was he?
Chris Hemsworth
He stole the film.
Yeah.
I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
He's comedy gold.
Yeah,
I didn't even know.
Every time he did a joke, it was like up here. And a lot of them have come from comedy backgrounds.
Yeah, SNL.
Two SNL girls. And obviously you've got Kristen Wiig, you've got Melissa McCarthy, who's in like very big comedy films. But I thought a lot of the comedy around them felt just shoehorned in. Like, it was like every scene, it was like, oh right, okay, you've got to put that quip in there.
Well, Patty was really good.
Yeah.
Patty was dead good.
Well, obviously it was Melissa McCarthy was one of them.
Yeah.
Kristen Wiig was one of them.
Yeah.
Leslie Jones.
Leslie Jones was Patty.
Yeah, and Kate McKinnon.
That's it. It's McKinnon. It was McKinnon. She played Egon.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, like I think this is why I'm not developing the character names so much, because I just kind of associated which one was
Venkman.
And I know you shouldn't do that. And I said to myself before I went in, I'm not going to compare it to the old one. I'm just going to see how it fits. And I think I did that for the most part. But you had to kind of go which character was whose character to a certain degree. And I think hers was very much the Egon
but she was
character.
a bit...
But she was a lot more like eccentric to ego.
But I didn't really laugh at her much. I wanted to laugh at her. I thought she looked the best. She's got the most potential. I didn't find her funny. But then in the other end, I didn't think I was going to find Patty funny because I thought they were going to go with the angry black actress. And actually, she didn't. She just went with this really intelligent, knows the streets kind of actress. And she was hilarious.
I thought out of the four of them, I thought Kristen Wiig was definitely the best, but I could be biased because I love her. And I thought McCarthy was the worst, but again, I could be biased because I really don't like it.
No, you don't, do you?
I just felt like when she was doing her bits of comedy, it very much was Melissa McCarthy type comedy. It was very slapstick. It was quite easy, I thought. And there were some really well-written jokes in there that it was just like there was too many, though. In a way, it was like they obviously tried to make it laugh-a-minute comedy. Whereas some of the jokes were just thrown in the bits where you thought it just doesn't need a joke there.
As an example, like there was tons of exposition. There was quite a lot of having to explain what this does, explain how this works. But they would use really long words, almost in an old Doctor Who kind of way. So it's just nonsense and just go with it. And in other points, they did a joke and then joke between themselves and bounce off each other, which kind of made you kind of lost the point. But then when you go to the original Ghostbusters and he's trying to explain what the premise is, remember the Twinkie joke? They talk about the Twinkie and he uses it to explain as a metaphor. And at the end, he just goes, "That's a big Twinkie." And that makes you laugh. And that's all it needs, just something on the end to go, boom, and that's a little funny. Yeah. But they were trying to make everything funny.
Yeah, it was too much at times. And I think ridiculously less comedy in that film would have made it more enjoyable.
Yeah,
it was just a bit bizarre of an experience because I just think too many fell flat in the end.
It was almost like they were trying to write a story around the comedy.
Yeah,
which the story wasn't bad.
That was my main concern with it. Was I don't think the story was near as good as the two that came.
I liked the story. I thought that the story was good. They just didn't give it enough attention. They just didn't give it enough at all and tried to do too many jokes. I like the idea that there is these lines of the supernatural because it opens up to an unknown sequel that they were always trying to get off the ground from Ghostbusters, was the Ghostbusters Go to Hell, which would have been awesome to see the Ghostbusters in hell fighting demons. But they can go with that on this. I think it's a really good direction, but there was at the same time terrible direction. Like, did you notice in one scene, in the fight scene, fighting at the end, by the way, is amazing. I loved watching that whole... Oh, here we go. I loved it. I thought I liked watching... They're punching ghosts and throwing grenades and they're like tossing ghosts and all that.
I don't know whether I'm just a bit more of a purist here, but like obviously in the first one, I never remember them actually like doing stuff like that with ghosts.
No, they struggle to even use the devices.
Yeah, I don't know. It was all a little bit like too flash for me. Like
I preferred that.
Suddenly they had like grenades they could throw at them that just harm ghosts, and obviously the beams themselves were actually like pulverising the ghosts at one point, which I don't ever remember that being.
They always wrapped around.
Yeah, exactly. That was to catch them. And in this one, it was almost like they were destroying the ghost with the beam, which I didn't really like.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about it. They normally catch them.
So the fight scene, I actually really didn't like.
Okay, fair enough. I liked it.
I liked most of the stuff in actually the build-up where they were just catching ghosts, like at the rock concert and stuff.
That was good.
I thought that was really good because that was like true to like the universe.
That rock concert, that entire act.
Yeah, that was really good.
Is really good. And I feel bad because the first act has got really great moments in it. The second act's got really great moments. And the final act, it kind of spins off. Like, I felt it ended wrong. It ended about 3 times.
Well, this is my problem with the storyline, was I felt like it was doing really well up to a point. The actual introduction of the characters was quite good.
Yeah.
The introduction to the cameos of like the cast were actually quite subtle.
I didn't like the cameos.
Did you not like that?
I didn't like any of the cameos.
Good.
They fucking killed Bill Murray. Of course, I'm not happy.
But I like the fact it wasn't so obvious in a way. You know, obviously they were obviously.
I only like the Egon one, the little statuette in the background.
That
was cool.
That was a really nice one. But I like the fact that they brought them all in. To do like obviously Winston just turns up as Like what
he's
it was
related
like
to the...
an undertaker who's lent them the car or something.
Yeah.
And then obviously Bill Murray was like the guy who tried to like
disprove them.
Dan Aykroyd was just a taxi driver, and
think
obviously the receptionist even
they
was
should have
in
done
it.
something else, like how they did the Egon statuette. There should have been maybe a portrait of Bill Murray behind them at one point,
Maybe,
or something else. I think having them in the film didn't work for me at all. It just seemed like they were just trying to get them in.
I quite like that. Was like the nostalgic nod to it. I didn't mind that.
I mean, we seem quite mixed on this. It's hard to, things I like, you didn't. Things you don't like, I did.
Yeah.
It's a mixed bag. It's going to divide people.
Yeah,
I mean, on IMDb, it's got 5.4 right now.
Yeah, and I think it's about right, because I think there's some really good bits and I think there's some really bad bits.
See,
but if it was me, I'd score it maybe slightly higher. But I can see why it's so middle ground for rating, because some people are just going to bash it for the sake of it. A lot of people won't go and see it.
Oh no, yeah. Like when Tom rang before.
Yeah.
He was just immediately like, it was crap, wasn't it? Yeah. Didn't even have to say it. I was like, well...
And the trailers didn't help.
No,
I thought the trailers were very...
The marketing for this film has been shocking. It's just been a shit show.
Some of the interviews I saw, like, obviously I watched like the American chat shows and stuff, and every time they went on it, it was very like, mad cat, and even then, I saw some stuff where it was like, well, this hasn't been made. Obviously, they were trying to like say that a lot of men wouldn't like this movie because it's all girls, and they're getting at the fact that some people hate it because it's all girls. Nothing to do with it being all girls. I was actually looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really refreshing thing to do, is put 4 girls as the main leads. It probably appeals more to girls in some ways, but
who cares?
I like girls.
Well, yeah, if we talk about the positives, we don't actually think any of the actresses were bad. I mean, I have that, maybe what the girl who played Egon maybe didn't play it right, but other than that, I still laughed at some of her jokes, but I laughed at all the rest of them fine. Chris Hemsworth was a beast.
Yeah, I thought he was brilliant.
Who would have known that the guy's comedy gold? I liked most scenes were good. Most scenes were good. The ones that went on too long, like the mayor's scene and stuff like that, and lack of montages. But other than that, there's something there. They've definitely got something, and they've just got to improve on it.
If they do a second one, which I'm assuming they will,
they're definitely doing one.
I think it will benefit from the fact they don't have to then introduce everything again. And obviously, as I say, one of the worst scenes I thought was where it was really like, come on, we can figure this out for ourselves. Like, the gun works this way. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, I don't need to be shown that she's got bend your knees, love, because it's going to be powerful. And it's like, oh, come on, just fire the bloody gun. For
we know how
sake.
the guns work. Yeah.
So without that being in it, I think there's a lot more chance of me enjoying the next one. But what they should learn from it is to just less is more with the comedy.
Less is more.
The only other thing I want to touch upon that I despised was the music. Hated
Oh, right,
it. Do you know, there was one scene where it proper just made me go, oh my god.
Is it the Fall Out Boy music?
I don't know who it was, but it was when the Ghostbusters theme music first came in, and it was like a jazzed up, like...
Yeah, no, it's
awful.
Have you heard the whole song?
No.
It just sounds awful. It's like the first time I played it, I thought it was something wrong with my phone. It doesn't sound right. I don't know who approved, oh, this sounds good. But I didn't mind the music, because you had the original song at the beginning, and then you had like an orchestral kind of more movie ominous version throughout other scenes. That one piece of music doesn't really change too much for me. I just thought there was just some odd scenes, like I don't think scenes gelled together correctly. I don't think the story went perfectly in one direction. I think they went too far that way and forgot some bits. And then there was some, like, I'm sure there's one bit in the fight scene where Kristen Wiig says something like, eat grenades or something, take these grenades, ghosts, and her lips don't move.
I didn't notice that.
Like really bad audio over it. There's some proper mistakes in this. It's a good film with but it has a few problems. So I mean, if we were to summarise, like, what was it? I give it personally, I think give it a 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
I'd watch it again. It's funny, but if you're going to compare it to the first ones, it doesn't really hold too much of a torch for them. You know, but that's because it's completely separate. As a standalone film, it's still missing something, but there is something there.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I score it exactly the same. I was going to score it a 6, so we've kind of seen it in the same way, I think. Obviously, it's all about watching it with a fresh mind, I suppose. Don't think it's going to be the old ones, but as you say, it's not good enough in its own right to be a standalone film. You know,
it doesn't deserve the hate it's getting.
No, I don't think it's that bad. I mean, 6 for me is it's perfectly enjoyable, but it's just not world beating.
No, that's all from us. I've been JB. Just so you know, normally Chris sits here, but this week it was Gaz, as Chris refused to see the film. He just doesn't he doesn't believe in it. And Gaz does mostly movies anyway on our website, talknerdy.uk. He reviews movies and he reviews TV for you throughout the week. I'm sure we'll do another one of these in the future when Chris refuses to go to the cinema again. Until next time, thanks for joining us and keep talking nerdy.
Too hot to handle, too cold to hold. They call the Ghostbusters.